In here and doing a live, and it's Friday, TGIF. Hope everybody had a good week. I hope you guys are feeling good today, feeling good in your sobriety, confident for the weekend. You know, there's messaging, there's alcohol messaging everywhere. It's all over the place. At the store that I just went to, put that post on there this morning, and man, it's just everywhere. It's tough, especially for people who are struggling out there. If you're struggling, please check in this weekend. Make sure that you touch base with us if you need support. We all need support. We have so much messaging out there. Even people that are close to us, our loved ones, family, friends, they can be bad influences on us. Just have a drink, just have one. It's not going to hurt anything. Oh, you had such a great week. You were productive. You did well this week at work, or you're celebrating something, and just have a drink. It's okay. But they don't get it. That's the reality of it. They don't get it. But some of them do, and those are the ones that we need to reach for. Those are the ones that we need to keep in our back pocket, that we can lean on when we are struggling, when we're having urges to drink. I wasn't going to do a live today because, well, I'm running short on time. I only have about 15 more minutes to make a video. I already made a video this morning. I'm going to put that up on Sunday. I had a video out this week on Wednesday. Two on Wednesday. No, I did two. I did one Wednesday and Thursday. Anyway, I usually do Wednesday and Sunday, but I had an extra time. I had an extra day yesterday where I didn't have a whole lot going on, so I made another video, edited it, and uploaded it all in the same day. So that I was glad to be able to do that, because I don't always have that kind of time. So it's a blessing to have the time to be here on this platform. As you guys know, I have a regular job, but I have the time and I have the means to be able to be on here. And even though I'm not making a ton of cash on here, I am monetized, but I mean I'm not making money, and I'm not even. This is more of like a passion for me to be able to be on here and communicate with you guys, and have my own channel, have my own group like on Facebook. And I was never really one to run a group before. I had 2 or 3 different Zoom meetings on my sobriety group, This Naked Mind, and I was never the administrator. I didn't feel like I wanted to. I never really liked making a commitment to anything or anybody for that matter. So I was always kind of like, no, I'm good. If they, to run one, I'll just be the, join in, and honestly, joining is just as good. But at any rate, when I was done with that group, I was on there for like 4 years solid, and checking in there every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Sometimes I was reading and posting, and I was spending hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day on that group. And that's what I needed to do, and that was perfectly fine. But after I questioned it after a couple years, just because she changed platforms. She went from like a regular simple website to an app. And then once the app launched, it turned into more of a monetary thing. It almost seemed like she was like promoting stuff more, like the things that she was offering and selling and stuff like that, which rubbed people kind of the wrong way. Which then they started to make comments on there, derogatory comments about the group, like not the group, but like the author, and then the coaches, and then man, it got ugly, and I kind of stepped back for a little while and reassessed how I wanted to approach that group from now on, because that was the group that I started when I quit drinking, and I didn't want to necessarily like leave it because it was still helping me. And then after about maybe a month or two, I went back to it, but I took on a totally different approach. Before, I was posting a lot of things about I needed help with certain things, or I was struggling with this and I needed advice. After about 2 years, 2.5 years, I felt pretty good in my sobriety, and I felt kind of like, you know what, instead of asking for help, I'm going to approach the group more like I'm the one that can help you if you need help. And I started doing that, and I did that for another like year and a half or so. And even though like most of the people that I was friends with on there left, there was still a few that hung around, but then most of the people that were on there were new. But it didn't bother me that she was making money on that. I didn't really partake in it. I thought about it, um, but it was too expensive to become a coach on there. Money that I wasn't looking to spend on it. And so I was perfectly fine just posting um, every day, just posting like I do on our posts here on this community, just like a meme, but then also a personal experience I've gone through with that, or something that I'm currently going through with that, or just things like that. Inspirational posts that hopefully are relatable, and I think they were relatable because I got quite a few likes and comments, and I think that was just a practice and build up for me for bigger things to come, and eventually this channel, eventually my own Facebook group, and that's kind of how those things started. And then now I'm offering coaching, and I'm looking to expand even further. I got my LLC for Josh Living Life Alcohol Free, and eventually I'll have a website, and I'll have more things. But I'm always going to have this stuff available, and that's what I appreciated about This Naked Mind and other groups that I've followed. They offer free stuff, and I'm not the rich. I wouldn't say I'm poor. I'm not rich either. I mean, but I'm right in the middle where I'm okay. And right now I work and I have time to do YouTube, and I would like eventually to be able to make YouTube a full-time job. Um, that's ultimately my goal. But I know that it's a process, and I know that it takes time, and there's tough days. Like last weekend was a tough weekend for me. I struggled with some things that I was going through with the channel, I was in a slump, I guess, starting Friday night, and it lasted Saturday and Sunday. Monday hit and I was back at it. I was fine, and it was like whatever, man. I had like this not like triggers to drink or anything like that, but certainly they were like depressive thoughts, I guess. And but I also know that, and I've learned through recovery, that these thoughts that we have that are negative and they're holding us back, they're temporary thoughts. Sometimes they're meant to help us. And so I take what I've learned in my recovery and I use that to my advantage. And I know that it might not go away. It didn't go away Friday night. It led into Saturday, and it led into Sunday. I didn't know how long it was going to last. I always know that these feelings are kind of temporary. I would say that like 99.9% of my days, that negative self-talk, that negative voice is pretty much gone. I'm 6 years alcohol free now, and it took me 3 or 4 years to get to a point where I could confidently say that voice was no longer loud. I mean, I was going to say a majority, but it wasn't. It wasn't a majority even in my first few years. But it was still loud at times and often. especially early on with the urges to drink. But before I quit drinking, that negative self-talk voice was a majority of the talk, the talk to myself. And when I quit drinking, that changed pretty quickly. It went from being the prominent voice to kind of on the back burner, because one of the cool things about when I quit drinking and formed and found that group, This Naked Mind, and then started to read posts and talk back and forth with people that were going through similar things and trying not to drink alcohol, was that we have to put that alcohol urge voice in its place. And that means we have to call it out when it comes knocking. And we didn't necessarily do that when we were drinking, because it was hard to, because the drinking kept us in that perpetual state of negative. But now, being in this positive mindset and getting over that first hurdle, like day 8 or 9, which was like the longest that I ever went alcohol free, and then I got to 10 days and I got over that big urge to drink, I was confident that I could put that voice in its rightful place. And that was a huge thing. That helped me get to a place where, okay, now I know how to call that voice out. In fact, I named it. Uh, after about 6 months, no, after about no 4 or 5 months, I had my biggest angry lash out around like 4 or 5 months, and up until that point, I was wondering, am I ever going to get over this anger? I was on Zoloft and I was still in therapy, and so I thought, how long is this going to last? Well, I had my last lash out around like year or month 4 or 5, and around that time, I decided to call out my voice and name it this voice of this kid from my childhood that used to. I wouldn't say he was a bully. I mean, he was at a basketball camp I was at, but I named him, and every time that voice would come out, and by this time I wasn't having urges to drink, but I was still having those angry urges or those anxiety voices, or somebody might say something and I noticed that they were triggering me to have anxiety or to feel anger with them or at them. I would take that voice, I would call it out, and I would say, like, you're not going to get me today. I'm having a good day, and anything that happens to me is self-sabotage at this point. Like, no one can control my thoughts anymore. It's up to me. And so I spent like a week or so. The first day or two, I called that voice out like 100 times. And then after like a few days, it was less than that. And then after a few more days, it was less than that. And then after a week, I didn't even call that voice out anymore. And it was interesting. I felt like I was in a good place, and that voice kind of went away, and I felt good about it. Um, but that's what it took. And so, all that to say, I got to a place where I was confident, and the positive voice outdid the negative voice. And that's a huge thing in recovery, to get to that point, and then to be able to start getting on here and not worrying about what other people say, especially on the vertical shorts feed live streams. I'm on this. There's no viewers. There was one of you on here for maybe the first 10 minutes or so, and then they left. The good thing about this is there isn't that commentary on here. And as much as I like being on there and being visible and being able to reach a wide audience, even if you guys are watching this stuff later on after it's posted, that's fine too. And there was one that I did last week where no one was on here, or I had one of them. I had one person for the whole time. Joe's, thank you for joining in that day. Joe says she was cleaning her car and she was just on here. She listened to the whole thing, and I was on there for like 50 minutes, and that was awesome. And I didn't notice her comments because I didn't scroll down. I haven't done too many of these, so I'm not completely familiar with it yet. But even if you guys are watching these after I post it, and that one had like I said, I think one had no views, but then it had like 10 or 12 or 15 views after I posted it. That's fine too. As long as this is reaching you guys, and then if you feel comfortable sharing anything you're going through in the comments, that'll be helpful. Um, but I posted, so two things I wanted to get to. One, right before I got on here, and I wasn't gonna do this stream, but I got on YouTube, and I saw that Slayer. So I follow Slayer Sober, and he's been doing some vertical shorts live streams, and I feel like it's not going great for him. But if you're watching Slayer, I hope you're doing well. But man, he had it, and I got on it right when he was getting off of there. But the title of it was struggling or something along those lines. So I wanted to make sure that Sober, you're doing okay, or Slayer, you're doing okay. So I reached out to him. Hopefully I hear back from him. But the other thing I wanted to touch base about was I posted this Benjamin Franklin quote, and I saw it on Facebook this morning, but it reminded me of my first few weeks or months of therapy when I quit drinking. And it was, we're all born ignorant, but it takes hard work sometimes for us to stay stupid. I think it was something along those lines. And I actually made a video about that too this morning. I'm going to see how the post goes. I don't want it to be offensive. I don't want it to be volatile or triggering, or maybe it's funny to some of you guys. But what my therapist said about awareness, which was, you really want to piss off an addict, you ask them, or you tell them, awareness is the opposite of ignorance. And it's really just to put a spotlight on the fact that when we're in addiction, we actively usually choose to stay ignorant about how bad that drug or that alcohol is for us. But when we quit that drug or that alcohol, and we become aware of just how bad it was for us or is for us, we can't go back to being ignorant about it. We learn it and we can't unlearn it. And that's scary to some people that are in addiction, because the more, and I've heard it from people having conversations about my sobriety with people. One person told me, he said, I've had more than one, but one or two that stood out to me because they were close to me, but in my personal life. But they're like, I don't want to learn just the exact science of alcohol and addiction, because once you learn it, I can't unlearn it. And that's true. I didn't know the degree of how much alcohol and how bad alcohol is for us and how insidious it is until I quit alcohol and got some distance from it. And then I started to learn, the science behind addiction and exactly how bad that chemical is for us, ethanol. And not that it would have changed anything that much while I was drinking anyway, but the fact now that I wasn't drinking and then I was learning about it made me not want to go back to it. So, because I don't think when we're in addiction and we're drinking all the time, we don't really care about how unhealthy we are, right? I mean, maybe we try to eat healthy and we try to limit our calorie intake so we stay in decent shape physically, but mentally, that's a whole other thing. Like, our mental issues are kind of hidden. They're not at the surface. They're not easy to see in a reflection in the mirror or for other people to see. And so when we quit drinking, we can really put a magnifying glass on the hidden things that alcohol was doing to our mental state, to our just inside, how we feel how we're feeling. And so yeah, and I don't know that, I wouldn't consider myself stupid for drinking all those years, but I certainly was ignorant and chose to stay that way. And I mean, yeah, if I had to go back and do it all over again, sure, I wouldn't want to be an addict or be a drinker, or but I don't think anything would have changed. I think that I we're all kind of destined to go through what we're destined to go through. And for me personally, I think I went through all those years of drinking to learn something about myself, to learn something about society, about alcohol, about faith, because faith started to become a important aspect of my recovery. And then just, more and more things that I've learned, I've accepted the fact that, hey, I went through these things for a reason. And there's multiple reasons, but now I can talk about it and I'm comfortable with that and not afraid of it. And that's going to be a benefit to a lot of people. I think that's, and that's what God instilled in me. And he gives me grace, and my grace can trickle down to those around me, the people in my life, on YouTube and Facebook, my personal life, my family, my friends, my coworkers, my passengers in my car that I drive, and everybody, every aspect of my life. People are benefiting because I don't drink and I'm not in addiction, and it feels good to live that life. And like I was saying earlier, I don't know where this is going as far as a business goes. If one day, I'm monetarily rich, that's great. But right now I feel rich in the sense that I'm living a healthy, alcohol-free life, a faithful life. I'm good with God, and I get up. I got my purpose. I pray. I lean on my prayer. I don't lean on alcohol or unhealthy things. I incorporate healthy things every day in my life. I'm currently on day 25 of 30, doing a health challenge for myself. I upped my exercise. I upped my scripture reading and my food intake, and started journaling. So it's been tough. I'm going to make a video about that coming up in the next week or two when I finish the challenge. Let you guys know how it went, what my roadblocks were, what I did to overcome those things, and kind of how we can overcome anything when we're alcohol free. So thank you guys for joining in. I hope you have a great alcohol free weekend, a great weekend, great sober weekend. And check out the video on Sunday. I'll probably be back for a live stream next week. And I've been doing some members only live streams as well, and videos. So I hope to see you guys soon, and I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching. Have a great day. Great weekend.